Hey, this is Jay Smith. It's good to be back again. It's been a long time, over a year since I have been on YouTube, and I need to come back. People have been emailing me and asking me to come and start more videos to explain Islam, also to help them with what's happening currently in the news, and that's why I've come at this time to talk about this movie, Innocence of Muslims, that's causing such a reaction around the world. Understandably so, huge reaction. I know that about 50 people have already lost their lives, 20 in Pakistan alone. I don't think they're losing their lives, and that the anger is not because of the way the film was made. Those of you who have had a chance, it's only 14 minutes long. You can see it on YouTube. There are about 20 scenes in there that are causing the problem, but it's not the quality of the film. It's a terrible film. Hopeless backgrounds, very amateurish. The acting is atrocious. I feel sorry for the actors. I understand they didn't even know the content of much of the film. They didn't know that they were doing a film on Muhammad. If you look at their lips carefully, you will see they're saying Master George every time they're referring to Muhammad. It was afterwards in post-production that the producer and the director then superimposed the name Muhammad and the words Qur'an and Muslim and Islam and such not. And that's why it has now caused enormous anger. So, not only amongst Muslims, even Westerners have been angry about it. I was fascinated to hear what Hillary Clinton, the Secretary of State, said last week when she mentioned that we reject this video's content and message. You notice she rejects the content as well. It is disgusting, she says, and reprehensible. A cynical film made to denigrate a great religion. Fascinating that she rejects the content. But here's the thing that I want to talk about, and this is what people are not talking about, and that is, let's look at the content and let's ask one simple question. Where does that content come from? This Nakula Basili Nakula, who supposedly put this film together, whether he's a Coptic Christian or where his background is, we don't know. Interestingly, he didn't just make it up, and this is why, this is the elephant that's in the room. No one's talking about what that material comes from. Did he go to certain sources? And the answer is actually he did. He went to books like this, Sahih Al-Bukhari, which is the compilation of the sayings of the Prophet. He also went to the life of the Prophet, the Siratul Rasulullah, written by Ibn Hisham in the 9th century. He also went to Al-Tabari's tafsir, and he also went to this book, the Qur'an. In fact, a good bit of the material can be found in this very book. Which then belies the question, what's causing all this anger? They say it's mocking the Prophet. If it's mocking the Prophet, then they've got to ask, where does it come from? And what I want to do is I want to look at the 20 scenes that are in that trailer, and I want to show each one of the scenes, and when you look at them, you'll find that of the 20 scenes, 17 of them can be traced back to these traditions, can be traced back to the Qur'an. Now we're going to just put them real quickly and subtitle them at the bottom of the screen, because I don't want to sit and unpack each one. I want you to look at it and see if I'm not correct on this, and let's just go through each one of the 20 scenes. I'll do it very quickly. You can see the subtitles, write them down, go and see if this material is not there, and see if we should be asking another question, which I'll come to at the end. The first scene, Muhammad is referred to as an orphan whose father is unknown. That comes straight out of the Qur'an itself. Surah 93, ayah 6 refers to the fact that he's an orphan. Ibn Kathir in the stories of the Prophet refers to the fact that his father Abdullah died before he was born, that even his mother Amina then died soon after he was born. He was brought up by his uncle Abu Talib. Ibn Hisham's Surah 23 refers to that. Interestingly, there is even a question as to who his father is, and there is a Coptic preacher, a very well-known Coptic preacher who has been on television. He's a friend of mine who has actually put together some videos concerning who the father of Muhammad was, and whether or not he was really born at the time that the Muslim traditions say. I'm not going to get into that. That's not my purpose at this time, but that could be the source for this question, since it comes out of an Egyptian source. In the second scene, Muhammad accidentally shows his privates to Khadija, his wife, in the tent. That I don't find any source for, and I think that was probably just created out of thin air. The third scene, when Khadija tests the spirit, he has him going around her legs, and she bares her legs, and she asks, is this the spirit? Is he in the room now? He says, yes, yes, and then he puts his head towards her crotch. That's a well-known scene, although that particular part of it is not what is found in Ibn Hisham's part 2, pages 74 and 75. In Ibn Hisham, when Muhammad comes back from seeing this, getting his first revelation, she then, Khadija, tests him to see whether or not that's a spirit, has him sit on one leg, asks the question, has him sit on another leg, asks him the same question, and then disrobes. And when he asks, was that a spirit? And of course, the spirit is not there, and Muhammad says, no, he can no longer see it. Then she knows this is an angel, because angels don't stay around once a woman disrobes. So that is a well-known story that's found within the Siratul Rasulullah. Also, Sahih Bukhari, Volume 1, Hadith 3, and also Volume 96, 1, 2, and 3 also refer to that same story. Outside the tent, he then looks at a donkey, and he speaks to a donkey and gives him the name Yafur, and asks him if he likes women, and the donkey does not like women, and laughs about it. That comes straight out of Ibn Kathir's The Blessing and the End, chapter 6, entitled The Conversation of the Donkey. Again, nothing that is made up. Interestingly, Warqa ibn Nawfal, the cousin of Khadija, that's standing there, makes him claim, and this is the fifth scene, where he says that he's going to help Muhammad with the Qur'an. Now that is incorrect. Warqa ibn Nawfal doesn't help him with the Qur'an, but gives him authority as a prophet. But the next thing he says is that much of the Qur'an comes straight out of the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament, Jewish accounts. Now that's fascinating, because that's exactly true. Surah 5, Ayah 31, the story of Cain and Abel, comes from a Targum of Jonathan-ben-Uzziah, a Jewish apocryphal account. Surah 5:32, the blood of Abel, is taken from the Jewish Mishnah, Bar Sanhedrin, chapter 4, verse 5. Surah 27, Ayah 17 to 44, the story of Solomon and Sheba and the Hoopoe bird, is taken from a Jewish folklore account called the second Targum of Esther. Surah 19, Ayah 22 to 26, where Jesus eats and pulls down a palm tree. That's from the lost books of the Bible. In Surah 19, Ayah 29 to 33, where Jesus speaks from the cradle, comes from the first gospel, the infancy of Jesus Christ. And Surah 3, Ayah 49, where Jesus breathes life into clay birds and they fly up into the air. That comes out of the Thomas's gospel, the infancy of Jesus Christ. These are sectarian writings. These are Jewish apocryphal writings. Many of the stories can be traced back to these 2nd, 3rd, and 4th century writings. The sixth scene, where the inspiration ceased once Warqa died, that's not true. It's not that it ceased, it's paused. And we find that in Sahih Al-Bukhari, Volume 1, Hadith number 3. In the seventh scene, where Muhammad wants to commit suicide by throwing himself off the mountain. You can find that in Al-Tabari, the Tafsir of Al-Tabari, Volume 6, page 76. And Al-Zuhri also refers to that incident. In scene 8, where he says that they may kill the men and capture the women, that's found right through the Quran. There are many references, sword verses, in Surah 9, Ayah 20, Surah 9, Ayah 5, Surah 9, Ayah 29, Surah 47, Ayah 4, which says to cut off the heads of the unbeliever. Surah 8, Ayah 13, there's a whole litany of them. There's about 149 of these verses in the Quran, too many to talk about right now. As far as capturing women, Surah 4, Ayah 24 says, you can take those women that your right hand possesses. That means prisoners of war, female prisoners of war. So in the scene number 9, where Muhammad allows his men to take children and do with them what they wish, that is not source. I can't find any source for that. In scene number 10, where Muhammad is permitted to have whatever women he wants, you can find that in Sahih Al-Bukhari, Volume 6, Hadith number 311. Surah 33, Ayah 50 to 51 says, O Prophet, it is lawful to you to take a believing woman if she offers herself to you, the Prophet. So that comes straight out of the Quran as well. In scene 11, where Muhammad says it is not enough to simply believe in God, but one must believe in God and Muhammad, Sahih Al-Bukhari, Volume 6, Hadith number 300 says that. Sahih Muslim 0284 refers to that. Sahih Bukhari also Volume 1, Hadith number 13 also refers to that. That Jews must pay either extortion money or move to Palestine. In Surah 9, Ayah 29 gives support for that they must pay the jizya tax. But the reference that they must leave Palestine if they do not submit, that's in Sahih Al-Bukhari, Volume 3, Hadith number 531. One of the more contentious scenes is found in the 13th scene, where Aisha's father allows his 9-year-old daughter to marry Muhammad. He was 53 at that time. You can find many references. We're going to just put them on the screen down there. Sahih Al-Bukhari especially talks about this quite a few times. Volume 7, Hadith number 68, and also 88. There are so many references. We're not going to bother with too many of them. You can look at them up yourself. The reference that Muhammad is gay in the 14th scene, I don't really know that that really comes up, but certainly we do know that in Mishkat al-Masabi 4889 that there is a love relationship between, and there's a loving relationship between he and another man. Abu Dawud 1665 also refers to this. I don't think that's homosexuality. I think that's the kind of loving relationship that we find in the Bible between Jonathan and David. In the 15th scene, where Muhammad fondles Zainab and then decides to cancel Zayd's adoption, that he then takes Zayd's wife. Surah 33, ayah 36 to 38, specifically verse 37, refers to that incident and refers to the fact that Aisha gets upset with him for taking the wife of his adopted son. Sahih Al-Bukhari, volume 9, hadith number 516, goes into it much more detail, gives you background to it, so you can find it within that tradition. The ripping in half of an elderly woman, that is found in Ibn Hisham's biography of the Prophet, when two camels take and split her legs apart. That's found right in his biography, page 665, under his orders. 17th scene where Muhammad orders men to cut off the arms and legs of the husband of Safiya. Again, no source for that. I cannot find any reference to that. That Muhammad has a Jewish man killed in front of his wife. That's again found in his biography, in Ibn Hisham's biography of the Muhammad, page 177, that you can find in Guillaume's translation of that reference. The 19th scene where Hafsa catches Muhammad in bed and then chases him around. Now the chasing around is not necessarily part of the tradition, but certainly the tradition is there that Hafsa finds Muhammad in her bed when she comes back unexpectedly, and he's there with the Miriam, his Coptic wife. That you can find in the Mishkat al-Masabi, volume 2, pages 680 to 681. And Surah 66, ayah 1 refers to that incident. And the last one, where it says that every non-Muslim is an infidel and their land's children are Muslim spoils. Surah 8, ayah 39 refers to that. Surah 4, ayah 24 talks about that. Sahih Bukhari, volume 5, 448a also refers to that. Now, what are we doing here, and why is it we're giving you all these references? The reason is very simple. We do that because we want you to see that almost all this film, though it as bad as it was made, does refer back to these traditions. Al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Ibn Dawud, Al-Tabari, and of course the Qur'an itself. If Muslims are going to get angry and get so hostile, have so much hostility towards, they need to ask the simple question: does this material exist in your own traditions? If so, is it really mockery? Well, listen, we mock Jesus Christ. There's been many references, many movies. Last Temptation of Christ, that mocked Jesus, suggesting that Jesus married Mary or Magdalene, and later on Mary and Martha. Jerry Springer the Opera, when that was brought out and was going to be shown on BBC Two here in Britain, I remember 47,000 people wrote in to have that stopped because it really mocks Jesus, has him in nappies or diapers, and it was BBC continued to show it regardless of how many thousands of signatures. 47,000 broke all records, and they continued to see it, and we had to watch it. Well, we didn't have to watch it, but it was on our TV. Now, how do we react as Christians? Well, we send in letters and we ask them not to show it. That's as far as we can go. We don't riot, we don't put death threats up. There's no reason for us to do that because Jesus takes an awful lot of mockery. He does. For 2,000 years people have mocked him. They will continue to mock him. They mocked him during his lifetime. Certainly the Jews mocked him, and certainly the Romans mocked him as they put those crown of thorns over his head. And every time Jesus took the mockery. That's the beauty of Jesus Christ. He can take the mockery. It looks like Muhammad can't. And I think that's where Muslims need to ask really the real question. If your prophet cannot take this kind of questioning, you call it mockery. It's not really mockery in the fact that it all comes out of your traditions, and I don't think you would call your traditions mockery. These are serious questions. Did he do these things with this woman? Did he have this kind of relationship with his wife? Was he a violent man like this? And the answer is yes. It's right through your traditions. It's right through your Quran. Did Jesus do the same? No, he didn't. And that's the beauty of Jesus Christ, and that's why I love to defend him. And I don't mind it when people do mock him, because by mocking him and by even questioning him, by criticizing Jesus Christ, it allows me a platform then to defend him. Jesus can take this mockery. Jesus can take any kind of criticism. Muhammad cannot. Wanted to ask that question, wanted to start our series of videos by asking that which is in the news right now. And I thank God that I can come back to Jesus Christ, knowing that he stands above criticism. You can as well. Come on home. This is Jay then. Over and out.